fighting a whole nation.
He is fighting a whole nation.
He had to get an army.
But Light is fighting against cold, way smarter niggas. Way smarter niggas.
But he doesn't have a power.
In terms of smarter opponents, that's a very hard one to answer because Light went against L, Nier, Mello, Rem, technically Higachi. So those are definitely intelligent opponents to an extent. And then Lelouch went against Schneizel, Cornelia, Charles, V2, Mao, Rollo, Shamna, Clovis. I'm probably missing someone, but those are the main people they went against. So to say which people are smarter than who, it's not that simple to just simply state that opinion. And what I don't like about this video is that they don't quantify what they mean by that. He just says, oh, they're obviously smarter. Okay, in what way? I mean, let's go through this real quick, right? Okay, so L, Nier, and Mello are probably the three smartest people that Light goes against. Nier is probably maybe a little better at that's hard to say between L, Nier, and Mello. Who's the best working with other people? I guess Mello, since he started a gang and they seem to respect him. So we'll say Mello is probably the best in that regard. Again, it's not like clear cut. Deductive reasoning, I think L is probably the smartest. I don't know where mathematically any of them land out. I assume they're roughly there. That's basically it. When it comes to like tactics and strategy, I would not put them in the same class as Cornelia or Schneizel, because Cornelia, one thing about her that these guys don't mention is that she's running an entire country, which is impressive on its own, also leading a campaign against several terrorist factions, not just the Black Knights. Okay, she's not just dealing with them; she's dealing with a bunch of other people, and she's still able to hold them all in check. Even Lelouch has stated like how clever she is, especially when she defeated him in stage 7. But even in stage 11, after the landslide, he still had problems fighting her army, which is impressive because he predicted where she was going to her whole deployment of troops, and he's like, a great deployment, but predictable. But even then, he still had problems, and they almost lost. Technically, you could argue that if Toto didn't show up, they would have lost to Cornelia, even despite Lelouch's plans going exactly the way he wanted, because that's the kind of leader Cornelia is. Even in stage 24, after the Tokyo settlement collapsed, again, she led her troops to stop Lelouch, and she even tricked him to go to the top of the bureau so she could ambush him and take him out. And again, she would have succeeded had it not been for outside interference. So I'm not saying she's smarter than L, Nier, and Mel at every facet, but she's definitely smart in a lot of areas, okay? So to say like Nier, Light, and Mel are smarter than everyone that Lelouch has ever fought against, that's bullcrap. And if you want to talk about, let's say, Schneizel for a moment, Schneizel is running Old Britannia right now. Charles is basically doesn't care. He's working on the Ragnarok connection. He has stated multiple times, and I mean multiple times, he does not care about the mundane affairs of this country. So basically, you have Schneizel running the entire country, which is already a difficult task. He's also leading the troops against EU and the Chinese Federation. So he's fighting a war on like several fronts and leading the entire country. I don't think Nier, L, or Mello could lead an entire nation while also having to deal with several wars. So you have to think about that stuff when it comes to intelligence. And I would also say when it comes to personal intelligence, Schneizel is definitely way higher than any of those three guys put together. Schneizel is that guy can wear multiple masks. And Schneizel can be like a charismatic, really friendly guy, like how he treated Cecile or even Yuffie, even though that was kind of demeaning, but whatever. Or he can be very serious and aggressive. He knows how to appeal the crowd. He's very good at that. He was able to convince, for God's sakes, Cornelia that they should use nuclear weapons against Lelouch. Like, did it ever occur to her that he might use them against them if he had to, or the world? Like, that's the kind of person Schneizel is. So to suggest that, like, okay, El, Nier, and Mello are smarter than Lelouch's enemies, like, that's garbage. Does Nier, L, and Mello have a higher IQ than Schneizel? Probably. So what? IQ is just one way to measure intelligence. It doesn't mean there are other areas you can measure as well besides IQ. And many people have debated that IQ is not even the right way to measure intelligence anyways. I can go on all day about this, but I think you get the point. You really shouldn't underestimate Schneizel and Cornelia in terms of what they can do versus El, Nier, Mello. And again, and one more point actually before I move on. Nier, L, and Mello only lead like a small group of people, and Schneizel and Cornelia are literally leading a nation, and at one point, in Schneizel's case, the entire Britannian Empire, which is a huge conglomerate, a bunch of areas, including Japan. So before you or anyone says like, "Oh, it's clearly like they're way smarter," no, not even close, not even close. Let's continue on here.
L is smarter than anybody in Code Geass, for sure.
Yeah. I was about to say that.
Why not?
Okay. Oh God, this is the worst statement in this entire 10-minute segment. Okay, L is smarter than anybody in Code Geass. Now, here's why this statement frustrates me. Oops, smacked my microphone. That's all pissed off, and I smacked my microphone. Okay, here's why this angers me. This shows that the people who are talking about this topic haven't really thought about the difference between Code Geass and Death Note and why a statement like that doesn't make any sense. So the problem with comparing these two stories is that Death Note is a crime drama. It's based in Japan. Yes, it affects the whole world because Kira changes the whole world. But really, we only see several people in the story. It's a very small cast of characters. Where Code Geass is an entire military rebellion against an entire nation. You have so many countries involved, so many different people. So when you say that L is smarter than everyone in Code Geass, you have to talk about everybody. We're talking not just Lelouch and his team, but you got the politicians. You have the people working the nightmare frames. And of course Nina as well, which we'll get to in a second. But you have all these different people. So you have to really think about what you're saying when you make a statement like that, because you're not just comparing L to Lelouch or Schneizel or Cornelia. You're comparing them to everybody. Well, let's talk about how this is stupid, right? Nina. I know you guys don't like Nina. That's totally fine. She's meant to be hated. But Nina made a nuclear weapon. She split an atom when she was, I believe, 17, 18 years old. Okay, now Elle is not an idiot, right? But I don't think Elle could have done that in his entire existence. Split an atom to create a nuclear weapon, right? So that's already one area where he's not smarter than everyone else in the series. I don't think Elle could take any of Rakshada's nightmare frame designs, tinker with them, and change them as Lloyd and Cecile have done. I don't think he can even work on nightmare frames. I don't think he has an engineering background or the ability to do so. At least from what we see in the story. You see what I'm saying, where you're not thinking of the entire story as a whole when you make a statement like that, because he's not smarter than Lloyd. Definitely not smarter than Nina, for sure. And again, with Schneizel and Cornelia, it depends what you're talking about. And even then, it's debatable. So I think it's funny that you're saying, like, he's smarter than everybody in Code Geass. Everybody, come on, guys, think about that. That's not true. I'm definitely smarter than Tamagi. Probably, I won't argue with that one. But everybody? Oh, man, that's the problem when you have only 10 minutes to discuss this topic. You have to be very vague and general and throw out statements without quantifying them. And this video is full of that stuff. Man, smart at everybody? No, definitely not, guys. Come on. I love this channel, by the way. There's no hate for these people. But really, Elle is smarter than everybody? Okay, when Elle splits an atom and creates a nuclear weapon, and then also makes a device to stop said nuclear weapon, we'll talk about it, okay? I think what they're saying is that he's like the best detective compared to everyone else in Code Geass, the smartest detective compared to everyone else. But that doesn't mean anything because nobody else in Code Geass is a detective in the same level. I think Schneizel and Lelouch have done detective work in the story because Schneizel had this book of people they suspected Lelouch used Geass on, which probably took detective work, and Lelouch figured out Taizo's identity. But there's no one really in Code Geass who does the same thing that Elle does. So it's, I don't know how you can even quantify that statement. I know I'm kind of harping on this for a while now, but it is very frustrating because they just say it as if like, okay, yeah, sure, of course he is. Right, okay. Let's continue on here.
Who is L not?
I'm saying I gotta think.
Suzaku cheat ass.
No.
See, they were even trying to figure out who is L not smarter than. They picked Suzaku. Are you serious? You picked Suzaku. Now, don't get me wrong. Suzaku is not stupid. He's comes to fighting and training in martial arts, I guess, and also just playing a nightmare frame. He's a genius when it comes to that. A prodigy. Him and Colin. But you couldn't think of Schneizel or Cornelia? Guys, 10 minutes of research. Seriously. Again, I don't mean to be a jackass here, but like, You could have just gone on the Wikipedia and searched up like all different characters in the show before you do this podcast. You guys are there's like what 6 or 7 of you in this group. It should not have been hard to do that. You just go in there and search up characters, search up characters. It really would not have taken that long to do it, especially when you're making like who is all not smart, and you immediately go to Suzaku. That's who you go to. Yeesh. To close out, I'll just say that this video here is kind of frustrating because nothing was really stated. It was a bunch of takes that had no research behind them. I think the point of this is like a quick, fast-paced, discussion, which I think can work. But guys, do some research, okay? You know the videos are coming up, and these guys, look, they work hard in their video. I'm not gonna lie, they make good stuff. But if you're, what's that expression? If you're gonna come at the king, don't miss. And they missed, all right. Despite all these Lelouch versus Light debates, I'm surprised no one ever made a debate between C2 and Ryuk. No, I know what you mean, because they're very similar characters as well, and their roles in the story are quite similar too. So I agree with that one. Why not do C2 versus Ryuk? Because they kept saying in this video, like, oh, C2 kept saying being Lelouch. What about Ryuk, guys? Come on now. Even Ryuk, just one side note, even Ryuk saved Light unintentionally because he was laughing with Naomi because he gave her... she gave him the wrong alias, and Lelouch didn't know that, but not Lelouch, sorry. Light didn't know that, and he was like, wait, why is Ryuk laughing? Well, it's because of the alias. So. Also, put a debate between Lelouch and Light is like putting a debate between Darth Vader and Gandalf. Despite different power intelligence, apple and oranges. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Charles was brilliant enough to keep his master plan from the entire world. That's a good point. Charles is not stupid. But I picked Cornelia and Schneizel in particular because those are like the two big bad Lelouch faced most of the time in the story. But yeah, Charles is no lightweight himself. I won't disagree with that. Yeah, pretty much, because Ella's not smart enough than Geass. Some people he is, but a lot he's not, and they didn't think about that in this video. And he can mind wipe true. But that's not really intelligence, but that's definitely a feat for sure. I bet these people didn't do a little thing called research. Also, I don't think Wikipedia is a good source because nowadays the website is very biased and unreliable. True, it is. But if you just want to go on Wikipedia to get a basic refresher on characters, that would have worked. Just to learn about Schneizel and Cornelia's name. They don't even mention the video. That's my point. Yes, you're right. Wikipedia is not the most reliable. I agree. Don't go on that for don't research your paper. Or if you're in college still and you're trying to do a paper or something, don't use Wikipedia as a source, like a primary source. Use it as a way to learn other stuff. I agree with that. But as a refresher, it's not a bad site to go on. And the last comment, and this is the best comment everyone wrote, left, I should say. Literally, this is how you should have ended the video that they made. One sentence. Honestly, it depends on how you define smart. And that's the whole debate in a nutshell. What do you think intelligence is? How would you define it? Is it IQ? Is it Howard Gardner? Is it some mix of both? Some people say it was skull size. I mean, there's so many theories on intelligence. It's not that simple. So I like how this person, with honestly good nuance, said it depends how you define smart. And that's how I want to end this video, with this last comment. It seems like no matter how much time will pass, people still want to discuss these two in terms of who is smarter. And again, I'll leave it to you guys. Who do you think is smarter? Do you think that RDCWorld1 made good points, bad points? Do you agree with what I said? Do you not agree? I'd like to know. Again, even if we don't agree, I would still like to discuss in the comment section below because that's why I put these videos, to test my ideas in front of you guys. Anywho, we'll leave it at that. Comment, subscribe, and like. And as I always like to say, the world is not a dark place, and tomorrow will be a good day. Thanks for watching.